In 2009, J.J. Abrams rebooted Star Trek with a fresh take on James Kirk, Spock, Uhura, and the rest of the crew, launching what became known as the Kelvin Timeline. This alternate reality offered a modern, blockbuster approach to the beloved characters, following the conclusion of Enterprise in 2005 and paving the way for the streaming-era adventures of Star Trek: Discovery. For years, fans speculated about a fourth Kelvin Timeline film featuring Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Simon Pegg, Zoe Saldana, Carl Urban, and John Cho. But following the 2025 merger of Skydance with Paramount, it's now official: a fourth film won't happen. Variety reports that the studio is ready to move on and focus on a fresh story rather than returning to the previous cast. While the Kelvin Timeline movies were significant and visually impressive, big budgets and the 2016 death of Anton Yelchin, Pavel Chekhov, would make any continuation complicated. A history of Star Trek on the big screen. Since its TV debut in 1966, Star Trek has always thrived on the big screen. After the original series ran for 3 seasons, its popularity in syndication spurred the animated series and eventually multiple theatrical films. Paramount has a long history of adapting its TV successes into movies, but the studio also struggled to make Star Trek films as financially competitive as franchises like Star Wars. The Kelvin Timeline reboot, beginning with Abrams' 2009 film, carried significantly higher budgets, $150 million for the first film alone. While the first 2 installments barely broke even, Star Trek Beyond underperformed, illustrating the difficulty of sustaining a modern Star Trek cinematic universe. Simon Pegg noted that Star Trek films simply don't generate the same revenue as Marvel blockbusters, making their financial model challenging. Why the Kelvin Timeline was doomed from the start. The Kelvin Timeline's central gimmick, a Romulan ship traveling back in time to destroy the USS Kelvin, allowed creative freedom but came with limitations. By altering Star Trek history, the characters became fundamentally different, making it hard for audiences to connect with them the way they had with the original or next-generation crews. Unlike the decades-long television series that built attachment over multiple seasons, the Kelvin films only had 2 hours at a time to develop these new versions of Kirk, Spock, and the Enterprise crew. Even with attempts to link the Prime universe to the Kelvin Timeline via television shows like Discovery, the distance between fans and these characters grew each year. For viewers new to Star Trek, there was little time to develop affection for these alternate iterations, while longtime fans often preferred the familiar personalities from the original canon. Looking forward. Although the Kelvin Timeline won't continue, this doesn't mean the story of Star Trek ends. Just as the TOS cast returned for the motion picture and the TNG cast got closure in Picard, Star Trek continues to find ways to revisit and honor its legacy. Paramount's decision to focus on new stories rather than forcing a fourth Kelvin Timeline movie may ultimately serve fans better, allowing the franchise to explore fresh narratives while maintaining the heart of Gene Roddenberry's vision. The Kelvin Timeline films remain available on DVD, Blu-ray, digital platforms, and streaming on Paramount+, ensuring fans can revisit the trilogy anytime. With a clean slate, Star Trek's cinematic future can embrace bold new directions while keeping its past in perspective.